Sound is more than a mechanical wave. It is the fingerprint of the universe in motion. Every atom, every cell, every thought vibrates. And it doesn't do so by chance. It vibrates because it's written into the very code of reality. Everything you see, everything you touch, everything you are, is frequency. A note within a symphony that never stops playing. This is not about magic or empty mysticism. This is forgotten science. An ancient technology so powerful it's been deliberately hidden. And not because it doesn't work, precisely because it does. Imagine that since the moment you were born, you've been surrounded by an ocean of sound. Some of it soothes you, some of it unsettles you, and some of it you barely notice. But all of it, every single vibration, shapes something within you. Your emotions, your thoughts, even your physical and mental health respond to the vibrations you're exposed to. The heartbeat, the murmur of a stream, a bird's song, the roar of a crowd. None of it is random. Every one of those has a vibrational signature. And you, even unknowingly, are constantly tuning into all of it. The question is not if you're being influenced. The question is, why haven't you noticed yet? Because someone made sure you didn't. For centuries, entire civilizations revolved around the power of sound. Celtic druids sang to shift the weather. South American shamans altered consciousness with drums. The sages of India understood the physiological effects of each mantra. Nothing was random. Every word, every syllable, every tone had a purpose. A specific frequency that activated something in the body, the mind, the soul. But that knowledge disappeared. Or maybe it was made to disappear. Mainstream history says that humans evolved through reason, science, and logic. But it leaves out a deeper truth. Long before microscopes, before electricity, before modern mathematics, there were cultures who understood something essential. Everything that exists has a vibration, and whoever masters that, masters life itself. Ancient temples were not just buildings. They were resonant chambers. They weren't designed for aesthetics or by coincidence. They were aligned with the stars, with sacred proportions, with acoustic frequencies. Inside those temples, words resonated like air becoming water. Voices were not just voices, they were keys. Keys that opened other realms. Because when you speak, you're not just communicating. Speaking a word is like throwing a stone into a lake. The ripple you create doesn't stop at your lips. It travels. It expands. It reflects. And it affects, positively or negatively. The same goes for your thoughts, for your emotions. Everything you emit is vibration. And everything you receive is too. That's why there are places where you feel peace, and others where something inside you shuts down. You might not know why, but you feel it. Vibration doesn't require logic. It just is. And sometimes, it hurts you without you even knowing it. In a hyper-connected world where you're surrounded by constant noise, artificial stimuli, and frequencies far from natural resonance, you've lost something subtle, a kind of inner compass. You've been detuned. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. Not all vibrations are neutral. Some heal. Others harm. Some open. Others enslave. And when you begin to understand that, you start to see the hidden architecture behind everything around you. Language, music, media, buildings, even cities are designed with vibrational patterns. This isn't conspiracy. It's deep observation. What happens when you stop looking at surfaces and start listening to what doesn't speak in words but resonates in truth? That is the secret language of vibration. Vibration is not something you need to learn. It's something you've always known. It's in your body, in your breath, in the silence you feel when you close your eyes and let the outside world go quiet. That subtle hum, that faint inner pulse, is the sound of your inner frequency. You're not just skin, bone, and thoughts. You are a living frequency. an antenna that emits and receives, a being that doesn't merely exist in a world of form, but one that's constantly shaping it through the energy it radiates. Modern science already confirms this. Nothing is truly solid. Matter, at its core, is energy vibrating at different speeds. What you perceive as solid reality is simply the result of your consciousness tuning into a specific range of frequency. Like a radio dial. Change the frequency and everything changes. What seems impossible today might become natural just by shifting the vibration through which you see it. And here lies the key to everything. You're not a passive passenger in this symphony. You're an active part. Your internal state generates a constant frequency that shapes your external experience. Fear, for example, vibrates low. Love vibrates high. You've always known this, haven't you? When you feel fear, your body closes, your breathing shortens, your energy contracts. But when you love, you expand, you flow, you shine. That's not just emotion. That's physics. That's energy. That's vibration. The ancients knew this and applied it to everything. From the way they walked to how they prepared food, every act was a vibrational ritual. Even silence had power. It wasn't absence of sound. It was presence of pure vibration. Today, that knowledge has been turned into superficial entertainment or discarded as superstition. But those who've studied it seriously know this is spiritual technology. One that doesn't require wires or screens, only awareness and tuning. Why do you think certain words hurt deeply while others uplift you? Why can a song make you cry even if you don't understand the lyrics? Why are there sounds that calm you down instantly even if you've never heard them before? Because your body responds to vibration. Because you are vibration. And the good news is, you can reprogram yourself. You don't have to change everything around you. You just need to tune your inner instrument. Your voice, your mind, your emotions. You can do it through sound, through intention, through repetition of high-frequency thoughts and expressions. And you can begin now. Turn down the unnecessary noise. Notice how the music you listen to affects you, the words you speak, the conversations you hold. Ask yourself, do they expand you or contract you? Choose what lifts your frequency. Sing it, write it, breathe it. The universe responds at the same frequency you call it with, because you are not separate from it. You never were. You were just detuned. But now you know. And every note you recover, every frequency you restore within yourself, rearranges something far beyond your body. In your environment, in your relationships, in your destiny. The entire universe vibrates. From the core of atoms to the most distant galaxies, everything pulses. And it doesn't do so randomly. It all follows a kind of cosmic score that never needed to be written, because it's already inscribed in the very fabric of reality. Music, in its purest form, is the echo of that score. It is the art of capturing vibration and turning it into something we can feel, understand, and use. But it hasn't always been used for good. Vibration is a tool, a double-edged sword. And those who have known this for centuries also understood that it could be used not only to heal, but to control, to seduce, to suppress. It's no coincidence that most modern conflicts aren't won with bullets, but with words. That the quietest wars are fought on screens, in sound waves, in catchy melodies you repeat without thinking. Behind every sound, there is intention. And behind every intention, a frequency. The question is, who is tuning the world you live in? For millennia, wise ones synchronized their consciousness with the sounds of nature, the bird song, the creaking trees, the flow of water. All of that was pure language, a speech without words, a pattern of coherence that helped humans remember who they were. But humanity lost that connection. We replaced the forest song with the city's hum, sacred conversations with empty speeches, Soulful music with beats designed for repetition, not elevation. And yet, something within you remembers. Knows that the universe doesn't move in straight lines, but in waves. That creation didn't come from matter, but from sound. That you, in your purest essence, are not a fixed structure, but a unique, unrepeatable frequency that came here to resonate in this moment. What if you started living from that awareness? What if your decisions were not reactions, but vibrations? What if your life was not a series of problems to solve, but a masterpiece of sound, and you were the composer? Because that's what you are. Every emotion you feel, every word you choose, every silence you keep, is a note in your melody. There's no right or wrong, only harmony or disharmony, only tuning or distortion. The human body responds to specific frequencies with precision. Organs have their own resonances. Cells align or deteriorate depending on the sound they are exposed to. Even the human voice can induce deep healing states, if channeled correctly. Shamanic chants, Tibetan mantras, Hebrew psalms, they all whisper the same truth. Vibration is not symbolic. It is real. It has power. It alters the environment. It penetrates flesh. It transcends time. And when you speak unconsciously, you disconnect from that. But when you become aware of what you emit, you stop being a victim of noise and become a channel of harmony. Then sound stops being something external and becomes an internal tool. Then you don't just listen to the world, you shape it. Then the word returns to its original function, to create. The human body is not just flesh and bone. It's condensed sound. It's organized vibration in a temporary form. What you call yourself isn't a fixed entity, it's a vibrational field in constant adjustment. A living score that rewrites itself second by second, depending on what you feel, what you think, and what you listen to. But this, we've been made to forget. Not by accident, but because remembering this principle changes everything. Because if you understand that everything is frequency, that everything you emit becomes structure, then you can't keep acting like a victim. You can't keep saying, "This is just how I am, I can't change." Because yes, you can. Because you are vibration. And all vibration can be tuned. The first step to reclaiming that power is to observe. Observe without judgment. Listen to your inner self as if it were an instrument. Ask yourself, what do I resonate with? What sounds lift me? What words drain me? What kind of music shifts my emotional state without me even knowing why? That's when you begin to see the pattern. You begin to realize it's not about what you do, it's about the frequency you do it from. You can eat an apple with gratitude or with anxiety. You can speak from love or from need. You can move through the world radiating harmony or projecting dissonance. And the world will respond accordingly. Ancient cultures knew that sound was the most direct way to shift states of consciousness. That's why mantras were repeated with precision. Why chants were sung with specific intention. Because they weren't just words. They were vibrational formulas. Tools for deep recalibration. And you can do the same now. No complex rituals. No dogma. Just attention. Speak less, but when you speak, let every word be like a finely tuned crystal. Walk slower, but let each step be a drumbeat that marks your inner rhythm. Breathe, not as an unconscious act, but as a sacred one. Because every breath emits a frequency. Every inhale is a note. Every exhale is an echo. This is how real change begins. Not outside, inside. Because when your inner world is reordered, the outer transforms automatically. People who used to drain you disappear. Repetitive situations stop repeating. Clarity appears where there used to be fog. And all of it, because you adjusted your tone. It's subtle, but powerful. And the more you practice, the more you recognize authentic vibrations. You begin to feel within seconds whether a place is harmonic or not, whether someone is speaking from their truth or just repeating borrowed sounds, whether a thought comes from light or from noise. It's not about judging. It's about tuning, as if you were a forgotten instrument that finally begins to remember its original note. That unique, unrepeatable frequency that, when sounded, makes the entire universe stop and listen. And that note is what you came here to emit. You didn't come to repeat the noise of the world. You came to resonate with your own truth, to be a clean channel, a sound that awakens, a vibration that transforms. And the more you emit it, the stronger it becomes, until there's no doubt, until there's no fear, until every cell in your body sings in unison with the cosmos. And then you understand, you're not here to survive. You're here to vibrate. You've been immersed in a sea of frequencies since the day you were born. Many of them you didn't choose. Some were imposed on you. Others you absorbed without even realizing it. Your native language, for example, is a vibration. Every word spoken to you as a child added a note to your inner melody. Some sounds lifted you. Others clipped your wings before you even learned to fly. And so, without knowing it, you began composing your own symphony. But not with full freedom. Rather, influenced by an environment that doesn't always vibrate in harmony. Modern society isn't designed for coherence. It's designed for distraction. Everything around you, the mainstream music, the news, the ads, even casual conversations full of complaints and criticism, is built to keep you vibrating in a state of subtle, constant anxiety. Not because you're bad, not because they're against you, but because a detuned person is easier to manipulate. When you vibrate low, you constantly seek stimulation. You can't stop. You need noise. You need screens. You need someone else to fill the void you've forgotten how to fill yourself. And the more you look outside, the further you move from your original frequency. But there is a way out, recovering your natural tone. And I'm not talking about a drastic change. You don't need to leave everything behind and move to a mountain. Real change begins in the everyday. In how you speak to people. In the music you choose. In the words you use when talking about yourself. In the kind of thoughts you feed when you're alone. Every action is a note. Every decision is a beat. And each day is a new chance to tune your melody. There are people who do this unconsciously. People who always radiate calm, who have soft but deep voices, who seem to relax the entire room just by being there. It's not a gift. It's clean vibration. It's authenticity. They don't wear masks. They don't force anything. They don't imitate. And you feel it. That energy is contagious. You can be like that too. But you have to listen. You have to discover which parts of you are in tune and which ones are not. Which emotions you habitually generate. What words you constantly repeat. What your daily soundscape feels like. Because your environment doesn't just condition you. You also condition it. If you change your frequency, your surroundings shift. Automatically, people who used to drain you fade away. Repetitive situations dissolve. New opportunities appear, ones you couldn't even imagine before. It's not magic, it's physics. The world responds to how you vibrate, and you get to choose how you vibrate. I'm not saying it's easy, but it is simple. There's no need for complex rituals or ancient formulas. Just one practice, awareness, breathing, adjusting, like an instrument you fine-tune every morning, that you listen to every night, that you care for like something sacred, because that's what you are. A sacred instrument in the great orchestra of the universe. A singular note that, when played in tune, shifts everything around it. And don't forget, the world doesn't have to change for you to vibrate high. When you vibrate high, the way the world speaks to you changes. There are melodies you can't hear with your ears, but you can with your soul. There are vibrations that don't make sound, but shake your insides like an ancient truth that finally starts to sing. When you start listening at that level of consciousness, your actions are no longer random. Your life stops being a reaction and becomes a composition. And the most beautiful part is, you're not alone. Millions of people are tuning their frequency right now, remembering, feeling, singing again. And you can too. Start today. With one word, with one silence, with one vibration chosen consciously. Because when one note changes, the whole song transforms. And once you finally understand it, there's no turning back. You can no longer speak without being aware of your words. You can't surrender to noise without feeling what it steals from you. You can't just consume any sound or watch anything without sensing how it shifts your frequency. Because something inside you has awakened. You've tuned your inner ear. And now you hear differently. You feel differently. You vibrate differently. Around you, everything looks the same. But you are no longer the same. Not because you've learned something new, but because you've remembered something ancient. Something that was always inside you. In your voice, in your bones, in that silent beat that's been accompanying your steps since before you were born. And here's what matters most. You don't need to understand everything. You don't need to name every frequency or memorize any theory. Because this isn't about knowing. It's about feeling, about living, about tuning yourself to what truly resonates and letting go of what doesn't. Vibration isn't just a beautiful word. It's a universal principle. It's what connects everything to everything. It's what turns thoughts into emotions, emotions into actions, actions into shifts in your reality. Everything starts in the invisible. Everything begins in what is not said, but is constantly vibrating. The intention behind each act is what changes everything. You can say, "I love you" from fear, and it won't vibrate the same as if you say it from truth. You can meditate, pray, chant. But if your vibration is disconnected, nothing will happen. Because it's not about the ritual. It's about the frequency behind it. And that can't be faked. That's why every time you want to change something in your life, you have to ask yourself first, what am I vibrating? Where is this desire coming from? Am I aligned with the frequency of what I want, or am I just longing for it from a place of lack? Because if you want peace, but you live in war within yourself, it won't come. If you want love, but you vibrate fear, you'll attract confusion. If you desire abundance, but constantly emit thoughts of scarcity, the universe hears you. It always hears you, because it doesn't respond to what you say. It responds to what you vibrate. And here lies the great responsibility, and also the great gift. You get to choose. Every moment, you get to choose what music you listen to, what thoughts you repeat, what words you speak. You can fill your day with sounds that lift you, or with noises that shut you down. You can turn your room into a vibrational temple, or into an energetic trap. It all depends on you. No one is going to do it for you. No one can tune your frequency if you don't take control. Because the power isn't out there. It's inside you. And that power is your vibration. When you clean your inner field, when you heal your memories, when you take responsibility for what you emit, something shifts around you. What once felt heavy becomes light. What once seemed impossible starts to open. What once hurt begins to dissolve. Because everything starts to reorder itself from within. And no, it's not magic. It's vibrational coherence. You are part of an immense web, an invisible mesh that connects your being with every star, every cell, every particle in existence. When you change your frequency, that web vibrates differently. You might think no one notices, but everything notices. The entire universe listens. Every time you breathe with gratitude, every time you speak from love, every time you choose silence over judgment, every time you embrace instead of attack, Every time you raise your tone in the middle of chaos, the whole system shifts, and slowly, effortlessly, you begin to attract what resonates with you. People who also vibrate high. Opportunities that were invisible before. Paths that were blocked start to open. Everything starts spinning in a new direction because you sound different. That is the secret language of vibration. It's not spoken, it's felt. It's not memorized. It's lived. It's not imposed. It's contagious. And you already know it. You've always known it. You just forgot that you carried it within you. Now you remember. And in remembering, you reclaim it. You awaken it. You expand it. And there's no turning back. Because now you know that every word you speak is a frequency that touches the world. That every emotion you embrace is a note that transforms your reality. That every intention you release into the universe is a wave that echoes, that responds, that creates. And now that you know, speak as someone who creates realities. Walk as someone who pulses frequencies. Love as someone who sings with the universe. Because that's what you are, a conscious, living, infinite vibration. And the world is waiting for your sound. Imagine, just for a moment, that you could see the world as it truly is. No filters, no cultural programming, no background noise distorting your perception. Just you and the vibrational field that sustains everything. You would see that nothing is still, that everything breathes, that everything pulses. Objects, people, the air, the ground, even your thoughts, they're all in motion. All of them emit a signal. Everything that exists carries a rhythm, a sound signature that speaks without words. And you, whether you realize it or not, are constantly listening, interpreting, absorbing. That's why some places exhaust you and others heal you. That's why there are people you don't need to know to feel they don't resonate with you, and others you connect with in a single glance, as if you've known them forever. It's not witchcraft. It's not a mystical gift. It's vibration. And your ability to feel it isn't a special talent. It's a forgotten skill. One that modern society has buried under layers of artificial noise, pressure, multitasking, and mechanical thought. You were trained to ignore it, taught to doubt it, to prioritize logic over feeling. But now, you're beginning to wake up. And in doing so, you realize something massive. You're not a body that vibrates. You're vibration that temporarily became a body. You are a wave that chose to take shape for a while. A fragment of universal frequency that condensed into this experience to remember what it is. And that remembering doesn't come from outside. It doesn't come from a book, or a teacher, or a technique. It comes from the daily practice of tuning yourself, of listening, of refusing to emit borrowed frequencies, of speaking less from the ego and more from the essence. Because every time you speak from fear, you create noise. But every time you speak from love, you create melody. Every time you act from control, the world hardens. But when you act from surrender, your vibration rises. And this is the true power of vibration, not to dominate matter, but to dissolve the illusion of separation. Because the higher you vibrate, the less separated you feel. There's less judgment, less struggle. Because you understand that everything, even what you don't understand, is part of a great symphony. A symphony where you are not extra, where your note matters, where your voice creates. And that creation is not measured by fancy words or motivational quotes. It's measured by vibrational coherence, by the silence behind your actions, by the purity of the wave you emit when no one is watching. Are you creating from harmony or from reaction? Are you repeating what was programmed into you or composing something truly yours? This world doesn't need more noise. It needs clean frequencies. It needs people who don't live by impulse, but by vibration, who don't get swept away by the mass noise, but generate their own melody even if it's unpopular, even if it doesn't fit. Because each of us is an instrument that influences the global orchestra. If you change your note, even if it feels small, you're changing the collective sound. You're rewriting part of the shared score. And that has a real impact, even if you can't see it right away. So don't disconnect. Don't go numb. Don't let the noise consume you. You carry a unique note, a vibration no one else can emit. And that vibration is medicine for someone. That vibration is a key for opening a door. That vibration is part of life's grand song. So speak with intention, feel with depth, act with coherence, and above all, vibrate as if the entire universe is listening. Because it is.